So what we've been able to open here is part of a NIH-sponsored multi-center study looking at a drug called Remdesivir. So Remdesivir is a drug manufactured by Gilead, and it's probably the furthest along in terms of any of the therapeutics that we know that we're hopeful can treat coronavirus. So what has been unique about this study is that there's a number of different sort of large hospitals across the United States who've all teamed up, in a sense, with the guidance of the NIH driving this, to say, how can we, as quickly as possible, get an answer that's safe and that helps us understand which of the different therapeutics are the most effective for us to treat patients. There's a number of things that I think are really important. The first is that this has happened at an astonishing rate for us to be able to get this open, and that is true of Duke, and that is true of many of the other big hospitals who've been able to make this work. Usually protocols like this are complex and need many, many weeks to get sort of operationalized. I think because everyone recognizes this is so crucial for our patients who are coming in, we've been able to get this going in sort of 6 to 8 days, which is just really humbling from an investigator point of view to see so many people here make this happen. I think from North Carolina's point of view, it's also incredibly helpful because of the timing. So this is a drug that's designed to be studied in patients who are sick enough to require hospitalization with coronavirus and who are either sort of moderately to the severe end of the spectrum in terms of being ill. It's designed in a study that's called a placebo study. So at this stage, people get randomized into one of 2 different arms. One would get the active drug, the other would actually get a placebo. And really the purpose of that is to make sure that we can fully understand how much benefit is being delivered by this medicine, or for that matter, how many side effects may be coming with that. So we think it's the farthest along in terms of the development. It's been studied a lot in actually a whole range of other viruses, some that are quite similar to coronavirus, such as SARS and Middle Eastern respiratory syndrome. It's not yet all the way through its testing, but we think it's getting close. So we're actually pretty happy to be able to bring that to patients and bring that to clinicians as an option that I think will, I hope, prove very helpful. It's not a drug that's available at this stage for outpatients. It's really people who are on the sicker end of the spectrum. The other part of the study that's really, I think, quite novel and I hope to be really impactful is this comes with an adaptive study design. So the purpose there is that, we are in the midst of an unprecedented pandemic. And so we would like to be able to offer answers to the question of, does this work as soon as we can? And it's also a time when there's lots of other information being fed in from different hospitals and studies and universities and trends, and we want to be able to be nimble and sort of move with that. Most studies lock in a protocol and they follow it all the way through until the end. Here, the design is, if you have multiple centers trying to answer this question, after we've got a certain number of people in, we can stop, have a look really quick, understand if we're heading in the right direction. If we need to adapt the design of the study to answer questions or to feed in new information, we can do that. And so that part, I think, offers us a real sort of almost flexibility to move this study and gain results and become informative, probably at a much quicker pace, frankly, than what we could normally do in a study. So the way this would sort of pan out for patients is that if you have to be admitted because of proven coronavirus here at Duke, we would look to see whether you'd be suitable to be on this study. And based on sort of clinician evaluation and individual patient characteristics, we could ask for patients to be consented. It's a phase 3 study, so really what that means is that it's gone through lab studies. First of all, we think the lab science is good. It's gone through healthy human studies in individuals who are just volunteers, and we know its safety profile therefore. It's gone through basic illness, and now we're looking at it, right, let's look at it in a clinical situation with people coming in through the hospital and prove that it really works in the way that we hope it does. And that's kind of a typical pathway for most drugs.